my dear people of Southern Cameroons, fellow Amazonians, brave warriors of our quest for freedom. Accept revolutionary greetings from me, Comrade John Ba Akuro, this Monday, September 27, in the year 2021. My people, I come here today once more that we have a very important exchange on the happenings in our struggle, in our collective quest for freedom, for absolute independence. Let me use absolute, unmitigated. I like to use this expression because sometimes some people get a bit confused. That's absolute independence. My people, today we are going to examine a wide range of issues. But most importantly, we are going to be seeing exactly how the heat, the pressure, our resistance is putting on the government of La République du Cameroon and its citizenry. I'm sure you must have observed yourself, a bit on social media and even on the traditional media, how much La République du Cameroon is being reeled by the heat they are receiving from, our activities, our resilience, the intensification of our resistance. The cost of occupation is growing by the day. The cost of occupation is growing by the day. And this can be felt in actually what is happening to those on whom La République du Cameroun was and is still counting to keep us in bondage. You must have listened to be it J. Remingono, be it Boris Berthold. About all of their activists will tell you that the guys are escaping, the guys are abandoning in good numbers because the heat is too much, because our resistance is paying off, because our people continue to show and demonstrate by the day that what is in the spirit cannot be overcome by the use of force. The spirit of our freedom is so strong, so much so that it will be very complicated for La République du Cameroun to outdo us in our land. My people, as October 1 approaches today, just in a few days, we should all go out there and preach the message of synergy. You see for yourselves that because the voices in the bushes are working very closely together, they are holding their sector tight. This is why I want to particularly praise and congratulate the members of SCAF, because our activists who are grouped under SCAF are also right now at this moment strategizing to ensure that we have synergy in our communication. Play your own part by refusing to push out those messages that are divisive, those messages that rather create internal strife. You must have observed for yourselves that there is so much confusion at this point in time in La République du Cameroun. That is why, at some point, they don't even know what strategy to adopt, what message to push out. And because of these gaps, sometimes they push some other people and let us, because it's true that we also right to interpret it in their manner, but to interpret it as a strategy, as a style, that their prime minister, John Gute, heads to Biya with a peace plant, and then Joseph Bechasomo heads to Bamenda with a stick. And they said, no, that is because they want to. But the truth, after thorough investigation in the system, is that it is confusion. They don't even know what direction to take. And I believe it. Because look at it. Mr. John Gute could make noise in Biya because he was surrounded and clad by all kinds of people and had layers upon layers of zinc in him. Could he not go to Bogongo, the village where he is chief, to extend this message? He can't. So even that fake imagery that they would have tried to put up that okay is because they want to reignite that kind of divide and rule really doesn't bind. It is simply because this government is so divided that there is so much cacophony within that government. And again, just so we all know, Prime Minister John Gute doesn't give instructions to Joseph Betia Somo. No. Joseph Betia Somo is minister delegate at the presidency. Listen to that. Minister delegate at the presidency. So he's not answerable to John Gute. So while he's preparing to go him to Bamenda, he may not even be aware of what Chief John Gute was going to do in Boya. And that is why you see that gap. And so while he was leading his colonial mission with all members in his suite made up only of citizens of La Republique, John Gute was going to try his own hand to try and sing his own song, dance some dancing there, to try and create some kind of imagery to say, no, right here people are not, whereas he can't. He can't go beyond Boya. No, John Gute can't step his leg in Bogongo. He doesn't even have a house in Bogongo anymore. His own village. Previously, we watched on this channel, we watched on this platform, the road leading to Bogongo, leading to Ekondo Titi, leading to Lobe, the road leading to John Gute's house. My people, we will be looking at exactly the effect our resistance is having on the citizenry of La République du Cameroun. How are they reacting today? Are some of them forced to begin telling the world the basic truth of what is happening? Are some of them forced to begin telling their children, teaching the people of La République du Cameroun the history they refused to teach them a long time ago? These are some of the things that we will see. But before I get there, I want to take this opportunity to talk about this very important conference that will be taking place in Boston, Massachusetts. It is co-organized by the University of Massachusetts and the Southern Cameroon's People's Organization, SCAPO. I want to thank and congratulate Pa Augustin Dangam for leading that very important initiative. This conference will hold from September 30 to October 1. Of course, you understand why it will culminate on October 1, because that's a special day in the lives of the people of the Southern Cameroons. And so while the voices in the bushes are holding their domain tight, while those who are leading the diplomatic push are holding their own domain tight, while those who are on the streets protesting are holding this domain tight, those doing the communications are doing theirs, I hail Pandangam for pushing on with the strategy of also getting into the university milieu, where in some countries, like in the United States, policy is developed that will continue to educate the international community on exactly what the Southern Cameroon's question is all about. So this conference will be holding on the theme, Quest for Peace and Justice, an international conference on the decolonization process of former UN trusteeship territories. And so it will be at the University of Massachusetts in Boston. Of course, I'm going to be there. And so I invite all Southern Cameroonians who are either in Massachusetts or in states close to Massachusetts, make it here. Let's have the opportunity to exchange with the university community there and tell them our story by ourselves, so that when they go out there too, they have the opportunity to give out first-hand information and have the right information to analyze. And whenever they sit with decision makers on international affairs, they should be able to tell our story exactly the way it is. That said, we will move into the VIF of our discussion, but I'll come up again with another piece of announcement because we have to stay awake. That is why each time I'm preparing to communicate with the people of the Southern Cameroons, I take the pains to get, to get the most updated information about some of the things that are going on, either in our community or in areas that may have a direct bearing on us. Like there is yet another survey going out this time, and I'll talk about that survey after this this brief video. Just take a watch.
Ah, des garçons qui traversent. Oh, c'est terrible. Oh, le nom Macombé. Oh, mon pauvre arrondissement. Nous t'aimerons toujours. Nom Macombé. Coquevaille. pour le travail.
As you can see in this brief video, this is Mr.
Merci,
Paul
Monsieur le
Biya's
Président.
veritable brother. This is why he's having all the
Oh, des
trouble and
garçons
all the
qui
difficulties
traversent.
in southern Cameroon.
Oh,
These
c'est
are
terrible.
politicians visiting a
Oh,
place
le
in
nom
La
Makombe.
Republic Cameroon known as Nord Makombe.
Oh,
I'm
mon
sorry
pauvre
that you're having
monsieur.
this video, upside down, but
Nous t'aimerons
at least it
toujours.
gives you an idea what I
Non,
want
Makombe.
us to share. These are politicians of the ruling party
Pour le travail.
going definitely
Pour
for
travail.
campaigns or going to, do some kind of reorganization.
Merci, Monsieur le
Look at
Président.
how they are going to those villages. This is what they
Oh,
have
they-
deceived us with over the years. And the people in the villages, when they come, they'll say 100%, 100%. Look at what you see there now, Makombe. Shows that if Mr. Biya cannot do it in his own country, then let us never dream that he will do it for us in southern Cameroons. My people, I bring this because I want us to see for ourselves that this venture that our forebears took us into, because they too had their hands tied by the United Nations in 1961 and the powers that be. This venture was one of the most ridiculous ventures of all times. This union with La République du Cameroun has caused us to lose time in development that can be equated to at least 30 to 40 years that has kept us behind. The advances we had made have all been reversed. Just sit down sometimes and ask yourselves, why are most of our cities, towns, and villages in darkness today? There is no electricity. Were they forced to shut down the Yoke power plant? Were they forced to shut down Powercam? No, they weren't. But they did that because they needed to centralize everything in La République du Cameroun and transform us into beggars. That's why they carted away all the machines from PWD and took them to Yaoundé so that we could not maintain our roads again. To work on our roads, we had to petition Yaoundé, we had to request, we had to beg for our own equipment, and they would prefer using them on their own roads and not for us to use in maintaining our roads. This is what they reduced us into. My people, even then, they couldn't help themselves. They have not been able to help themselves for 60 years, so they cannot help us. Let us collectively continue to tell ourselves these truths day in, day out. Let us continue to use these truths in touching the hearts and minds of those who still sit and dream of federalism. Even a federal experience with La République du Cameroun will be violated again, just like they did in 1972. I'm assuring you, get into any other form of agreement with La République du Cameroon, even that confederation or federation, be very sure that they will wait and come up with clear measures to ensure that there will never be any resistance again in southern Cameroons, and they will still cut it off because they feel better when they keep us in bondage. They feel better when they have unfettered access to our resources. But we'll be getting some of the truths within this communication today. My people, I have the habit of saying that those who have been falling along the way in this struggle continue to make mistakes. Those of you they come to convince that become a black leg, turn against your own people, abandon this struggle because La République presents a better alternative. You better open your eyes. You better open your ears. You better use your brains. You've all heard about what happened at the DDR in Bamenda. I'm sure you heard it. I saw Atesong Beltos, one of the so-called princes of the DDR, in tears today on Facebook. Of course, because they had the mission. First, they deceive you. Next, they lure you. Third, they send you to sleep. And then finally, they crush you. That's what is happening to them. You doubting it? Listen to Nambere right now.
Les armées là pour aller bagarrer contre les cas, ce n'est pas bien. On dit qu'on va nous donner le travail, on attend encore le travail. Le jour qu'on va nous donner, on va prendre. Mais on ne veut pas rester comme ça au début. Regardez mon frère Yannick, qu'il débrouille pour vendre le carburant. Il a déjà fait le business de carburant là pendant 5 mois. Pendant 5 mois. Aujourd'hui, voici Yannick. Sont portés les carburants pour venir à Douala pour vendre comme l'habitude. Comme nos frères, nos amis, nos gendarmes qui sont en route, voient que le Tchoko ne peut pas sortir dans ça, on l'a arrêté Yannick. Le motif maintenant, c'est que Yannick amène le carburant à Douala pour brûler tout Douala. C'est son motif là-bas. Je restais tranquille et on passe le message dans le dong-dong. Je vois que peut-être il va sortir. Mais il ne sort pas. Ça, c'est le premier personne de dialogue. Lui, il a déposé l'âme avant moi depuis les années et les années. Avant que moi, je sois en brousse. C'est lui la première personne pour déposer l'âme. Kawa Yannick. Mais il est...
Please don't say I'm a sadist, that I'm laughing when someone is in tears. This is Comrade Nambere. He was in Nigeria, feeling good and okay. Our people were contributing money and helping for his upkeep, himself and his family. One good day, Nambere decided that no, it was time to turn against the same struggle he had professed and sworn. He took an oath he took oaths over and over in various social media outings that he will never abandon the Southern Cameroon's cause. But finally, he went against his own words. For those of you who do not understand French, what Nambere is simply saying there is that since he turned his back against Southern Cameroon, against Ambazonia, and went to La République du Cameroun on the promise that they were going to give them jobs, they were going to position them, the promises were really flowery. They were going to give them money, they were going to create businesses for them. Nothing is coming onto this day. He is still waiting. You can see him there, crestfallen, totally downcast, confused. And then he says, in this melee, in this confusion, because of the difficulties, the hardship, Kawa Yannick, who was the very first to go into the DDR, found himself, in short, in a very complicated situation and decided to start selling gas on the way, petrol. And so that he carried petrol, he was transporting to go sell in Douala. The same scouts, the same Mr. Paul Biya scouts, with whom they have been working hand in glove and collaborating and singing, yeah, drinking beer in bars. The same scouts picked him up and dumped him in jail. And despite all forms of explanation, anything, nothing. And from listening to Nambere says they did that because he was not giving them bribe. He wasn't buying his way. He was just doing things. And there had been 5 months that he was engaged in this business. And he said now that they dumped him in jail, they came up with a new charge that he was carrying gas to go and reduce Douala to dust. Is Nambere surprised that La République du Cameroun is used to giving a dog a bad name to hang it? What did Mancho Bibixi do? Just for going out to say the state of the roads in Bamenda were bad. Where is he? 13 years. 13. What did Mr. Penn Terence do? Comrade Penn Terence. Simply for wearing a t-shirt that had the SCNC on it and other things, he is there for how many years? 15. And so you, Nambere, you thought you were a special breed. La République du Cameroun has no friend in Southern Cameroons. Not one. If you are doubting, listen to yet another gesticulator. This one I call him the court jester. And his name is Moja. I know you're really going to laugh a lot, so hold yourself together.
For the two sides, when one look at for the two sides, for true, we get problem. Yes. Me, I'll talk say for true, we get problem because even me, Chief Moja, I'll tell you say for class quarter, 2 days ago, yeah, some small gendarme there, no say I be Chief Moja. When I park my moto, I want to open that door by mistakenly touch it. He don't tell me say, vous les anglophones, so it be hurts me. Yeah. Now the words in that way, they go folk some people they be aching. So me to obey government, me they talk for the francophone people. Yeah. Say no matter say we even me Chief Moja they help for fight with brothers them. It no permit them to fulfill say we be called Kreshwe for future anyhow. For the two sides, when one look at for the two sides, for true we get problem. Yes. Me I'll talk say for true we get problem because even me Chief Moja I'll tell you say for class quarter 2 days ago. Yeah, some small gendarme girl, no sabi, Chief Moja Moja. When I park my moto, I want open.
Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth. That is Moja Moja, the court jester. You hear Moja Moja tell you that he himself was confronted by the same problems he had been in denial of. Called him Anglophone because they did not know he was Chief Moja Moja. So did they need to know that you are Chief Moja Moja that is fighting along them against your own people to respect you? My people, I've gone from Nambere through Kawakawa, through Acheson Beltus, and now to the court jester Moja Moja. So those of you, I keep saying it, who believe that something good can ever come out of Yaoundé, this is the time for you to come on board. My people, you heard Moja Moja say, although I'm with them fighting against our brothers, he actually says our brothers. So he admits his treachery. Yet, in the depth of his mind, he wants this freedom too. When we will get this freedom tomorrow, some of these people that I agree are complete enablers will be the first to want to line up there to tap the benefits of this freedom. We won't chase them away though, because the people of the southern Cameroons are a peace-loving people. We believe in what the late Martin Luther King Jr. said, that beat us, strike us, hit us, even break our legs, throw us in the gutters, don't kill us. We will come out of there and defeat you with our love. This, my people, is who we are, the people of the southern Cameroons. But this moment is a time for resistance. This moment is a time for us to intensify our resistance, to continue making the cost of occupation so high, because La République du Cameroun will quarter. La République du Cameroun will quarter. Before I continue, let me get down to that survey. I beg your pardon. Let me get briefly to that survey I was talking about. I listened to Mr. Victor Epiengome, who was a journalist. I mean, long-time journalist with CRTV, who was still a journalist with, the private press. And so he is commissioning this survey. It says Southern Cameroons, and I think it says Southern Cameroons in status survey. You know, we have had a number of surveys already. We had one that was organized and, pushed by the late Christian Cardinal Toumi. We all know the result. It was 69% of the people saying they want total, absolute independence. Thereafter, there was that by the CDN, the Commission on Dialogue and Negotiations. It was 89%, if I'm not mistaken. I may be getting wrong the figures, but I think it was about 89% of the people said they wanted total and absolute independence. Now, why this other survey? Sometimes because some people sit in some quarters and say that there could be fixing. And so they come with yet another survey. So some Southern Cameroonians reached out to me from ground zero and were asking, do we participate? Please tell us, can we fill this survey? My answer is yes. And I immediately went on to fill out this survey because I wanted to see what was in there before advising whether to go for it or not. But by the way, it is always important to go in for it because let us not leave the chance for those who hate us, for those who hate our freedom, for those who want to see us stay in bondage, to go and say things that will be used against us tomorrow. Although we may say it's not potent, but at least it's still going to be a piece of literature in the closets of whoever around the world that might be quoted. For that reason, don't only do the survey, get other people, encourage them to do the survey. And I looked at the questions, and that's what I want to talk about right now, because I always like to, share the information as I get it, so that we are all edified. I looked at this. Okay, I think it's question number 6 because I think I didn't start so early. I started from where it was getting interesting. On question number 6 of that survey, they say, what are the key remote causes of this crisis? They will put answers, propositions that should cause us to say certain things that may lead the rest of the world to say the problem we have is a problem of governance. My people of the southern Cameroons, we have no problem of governance with la République du Cameroon. No, we have a problem of annexation. So the proposals here are, number 1, UN ignoring the option for southern Cameroons to be on its own in 1961 plebiscite. French interest control of the southern Cameroon's resources. Yaoundé government's insensitivity to the cries of southern Cameroonians. All of the above. No, it is not all of the above. It is one. It is the UN ignoring the third option. If we had the third option, we will not be in this sheet because that's a real remote cause. We will not be in this sheet. If you say all of this, you are giving the impression that you think that if Yaoundé today comes out and say, okay, we have decided to go back to this. No. Anything that keeps us together with La République du Cameroun is wrong. It's wrong. Don't. The next question, that's question number 7, say, what does the word Ambazonia represent for you? I laugh because of the responses here. An unachievable pipe dream. Just a handful of misled people making trouble. A genuine manifestation of the aspirations of southern Cameroonians. Oh, yes. That's what I picked. It is a genuine manifestation. Ambazonia is not a pipe dream. Ambazonia is real. I mean real as the word real itself. You go to question number 8. Who do you hold responsible for most civilian deaths, abductions, and burnings in this crisis? Of course, they'll say Amba fighters, Cameroon army, pro-government militias, independent gangsters. No. Hold the Cameroon army directly responsible. Other pro-government militias work with them in alliance. And you go to question number 9. Who or what are the key obstacles to resolving this crisis? Military top brass making money from the war. Government fearing loss of face if it stops the war. Southern Cameroon radicalization now at the point of no return. It is true that Southern Cameroon radicalization is now at the point of no return, but all of these propositions are correct. And so I will take all of the above. Now, what do you see, that's question number 10, as the ultimate solution to this crisis? 1, separate statehood for Southern Cameroons. 2, state federation. Return to 2-state federation as in 1961. 10-state federation along lines of the present regions. Federation with Anglophone regions merged into other regions. Listen, my people. We already have a 10-state federation going on in La République, in that Cameroon. It has not worked. They even talk about something called special status. They themselves don't even know what it is all about, but they brought it up. They talked about something called increased decentralization. They just call it effective decentralization. It's never worked. So, my people, the only answer here that makes sense is separate statehood for Southern Cameroons. We have to keep reminding them about this every day. Every day, because that's the kind of language they hear. Every day, we have to keep telling them we don't want to have anything to do with you. On question number 11, who can credibly mediate the needed dialogue to resolve this crisis? The UN alone. Another third party with UN oversight. The Cameroon government with UN oversight order. When you say the Cameroon government with UN oversight, vraiment, it gives me stomach ulcers. Mr. Paul Biya has organized this dialogue. What do you expect from Mr. Paul Biya if you ask him to resolve something for you? By the way, the best answer here is another third party with UN oversight. Because generally the UN doesn't come on its own. You get a third party that the UN, gives a clear mandate to engage mediated talks. Not third party, mediated talks. Question number 12. Should UN or AU peacekeepers be deployed in Cameroon now? But of course, it's even late. They ought to have come in a long time ago. The answer is definitely yes. Because La République du Cameroon starved them off because they felt that by keeping them off, they will gain time to crush us. Well, everybody can see for themselves. And I said yes. Number 13, they say if no, so we skip on number 13 and go to number 14. Which of the former colonial powers can be trusted to help solve this crisis equitably? Which of the former colonial powers? The United Kingdom, France, both neither. No, 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 none of these two. Because they all have vested interest. They were accomplices in ensuring that we are in slavery and bondage where we are today. So the ultimate answer should be neither. None of them. Zero. Neither of these powers. And the last question, which is number 15, says, what can redeem Southern Cameroon's lost trust in the Yaoundé government? Do I need to read the answers? Because, of course, the answer is nothing. Nothing. Redeem trust? Trust in who? In Paul Biya? To ever say that something can cause you to redeem trust in Paul Biya is like thinking like Kawa Yannick. It's like thinking like Moja Moja. It's like thinking like Nambere. It's like thinking like Cheson Beltos. No. Don't even dream, don't even go there. It's like thinking like Jume Franklin. When Jume Franklin, I'm not hearing about him again. Because they all realized at the end of the day that they were chasing an illusion. So your answer there should be nothing. There is nothing that can ever rekindle any confidence in Yaoundé. The only thing that can rekindle confidence in Yaoundé is that they get out of our territory. And then we cannot, okay, we have confidence in Yaoundé that, well, they are good neighbors. That aside, nothing. Nothing at all. How do you rekindle confidence in a serpent? That it will suddenly lose its venom? No. Because that is what Yaoundé represents. My people. That said, we continue with our discussion. Take a look at this. This is the post. It says here, secessionists are those who govern Cameroon, not us. Secessionists are those who govern Cameroon, not us. That's Sisi Kwayuktabe talking. But of course, that is what it has always been. I don't want to delve into that history, but we all know that La République du Cameroun seceded from the Union when in 1984 and in January, Mr. Paul Biya signed a decree changing the name of the country from United Republic of Cameroon, who were even already protesting against, to Republic of Cameroon. A Republic of Cameroon that existed in 1960, on January 1, 1960. It came to existence on January 1, 1960. So by the time you revert to the Republic of Cameroon on January 1, 1984, you are simply telling Southern Cameroons, this union that we came into, we're no longer part of it. So they seceded from the union and then intensified the colonization of the Southern Cameroons. That's exactly what happened. And so you see, just on the same paper, this is under here. This is Honorable Tomaino Ndamjoya, the wife of the late Dr. Adamu Ndamjoya. She says the violation of Fumban conference terms caused the Anglophone crisis. This is not news. But what is interesting is that they themselves are beginning to recognize by day and by night that they are solely responsible for what is happening today. That they lied to us over and over, manipulated us, turned us into slaves, looked at us as subhuman over and over. And today, no, things will never be the same again. And it is this truth that the Reverend Father Tatamboy told them on Press Hour. And you can see how embarrassed Moki Edwin Kinzeka is, because at one point, he even starts feeling shaken, frightened. Almost wants to stop him because he's definitely asking himself, are there going to be reprisals? Take a listen, my people.
Very important. What is a dialogue? A dialogue is especially listening to the other, especially the aggrieved party. Was the aggrieved party listened to? The answer is blowing in the air. Truth. Until we find people who can defy everything and speak the truth as it is, it doesn't spare us how often we lie. A lie does not change the truth into a lie. So we must be ready to face the truth, and the truth will set us free. We must be ready to face it. You can't have truth, especially if you don't have justice. Justice means give me what I deserve.
What is that truth you're talking about?
The truth is, what is the truth about us, about this conflict? What is it? What is the real problem? Most of people who are talking now, from the word go, and you can ask to the ministers concerned. Richard is here. When I was in Bamenda, most of the ministers, etc., the governor of the Northwest used to send them to my house, and we discussed this thing about the schools and the lawyers to let it end. Was what we discussed followed up? The people who are concerned know that it was not. Secondly, let us come to, you want to dialogue with somebody. You look for the person who's causing the real problem. Don't tell me you don't know them, because you know them. Definitely. Otherwise, you are not fighting a phantom. We are the people who are aggrieved. Listen to. Thirdly, if the truth must be spoken, how did we get to where we are in this? The whole problem underlining is the identity of a people that is here in jeopardy. Some people talk of the Anglophones, which I hate, people of Southern Cameroon, as if it was a tribe. No, they are a people who had an identity, and we make the further effort and mistake of thinking, or the Northwest and Southwest have problems, also has the North and the East, etc. No. The Northwest and Southwest Moki were a people who had a special identity. It's the only thing, except I've read wrongly, the only time that the United Nations has let a trustee-ship territory go in such a horrible manner as ours did. So they have even a fault to answer to us. Why did they let us go this way? So we cannot, this is a very important issue, because that's where people are making mistake. If I come to marry Lum here, and I had already a Mercedes car, and she promised me that after the marriage I'll get an helicopter, and then he got in love with you, and you hadn't even a bicycle. When we have all now tied to her, she gives you a bicycle and gives me a motorcycle, and I'm complaining about my motorcycle, and you're saying, but I have only a bicycle. Because you have never even known what a motorcycle is, let alone a Mercedes car. So I can understand the others. We came already with certain achievements, and we're expecting something more. This is where the real problem is coming from. And so people should stop identifying or equating what is happening in Northwest and Southwest and group them and make them as if they were just any part of this country. If we are history I'm finishing, Moki. We have to go on to justice. Justice is you give me what I deserve. If you don't give me what I deserve, talk from morning to evening, you will not have achieved my problem. And lastly, our fidelity to our history. Fidelity to our history. I don't care who you are and what anybody is. We have an obligation to tell children in Cameroon, this is how we came to be where we are. Are we telling people that? Are we telling them the truth of what has happened to this country? Can we not tell the children where the real problem is? I made a suggestion when this crisis began. Get 5 historians, 5 from the Francophone side, 5 from the Anglophone side. Let them produce a history of Cameroon for us and tell us the truth. Very important. What is a dialogue? A dialogue is especially listening to the other.
So that was Father Tatambui. Father Tatambui said it as it is. I mean, he came out of his shelf and he said he hit the nail on the head. All of these things of saying Anglophone, see me as if it's a tribe. No, he's reminding them we're Southern Cameroonians. And this sacrosanct truth that Britain and France went under the table and caused the United Nations to just carry us and throw us away into the deep, into the wild. That is the truth. And it takes us back to the survey that I was talking about. So neither Britain nor France, or we'll call it the United Kingdom, nor France, can have the solution to our problem. Because they represent the problem by themselves. If you're doubting, listen to yet another person, this time from La République du Cameroun, because I said earlier that right now the scales are falling from their eyes. Right now they are beginning to search for the truth. They are beginning to seek the truth. Right now they are beginning to understand exactly why we are where we are, and a good lot of them are beginning to understand why we need to go our separate ways. Just listen to Harry Ekwe. I'm sorry again, that video is somewhat upside down, but get the message out of it.
Rapidement, la France a mis le pied sur notre affaire là, avec le pétrole. Et la France, à la veille de l'exploitation pétrolière, ne voulait pas que le fédéralisme reste en place. Deuxièmement, il était prévu que quand il y a vacance de pouvoir, c'est le président de l'Assemblée nationale, à l'époque Estimouna. Qu'est-ce qui va se passer? Le président de la République va changer la constitution pour faire du dauphin le premier ministre. C'est-à-dire que les anglophones sentent déjà que, mais en fait, on est exclu. Si on est président de l'Assemblée et qu'on est appelé à succéder au président en cas de vacances et qu'il change la Constitution pour mettre donc un système où le Premier ministre aujourd'hui devient le dauphin constitutionnel, ça veut dire que les francophones, les anglophones sont éliminés. Et c'était la volonté de la France. Dernière chose, rapidement, quand la France se rend compte que Fundi a fait un score exceptionnel, qu'est-ce que la France dit?
À l'élection de 92.
À l'élection de 92.
L'Union pour le changement.
Mitterrand dit, un président anglo-saxon au Cameroun, jamais. Faites la répression, faites tout ce que vous voulez, je suis derrière vous. Et c'est ce qui s'est passé.
Alors, docteur Mouveke...
Rapidement, la France a mis le pied sur notre affaire.
Okay. So that's Harriet Ekwe. Harriet Ekwe is a senior journalist, is a researcher. She's quite renowned in La République du Cameroun. For those of you not understanding French, again, let me paraphrase a bit. Harriet Ekwe is saying it clear, loud, and without any ambiguity that the situation in the southern Cameroons was caused by the greed of France. When they discovered oil in southern Cameroons, because my people remember, the British felt that we should be dumped, we should be handed over to France, La République du Cameroun, as un petit cadeau de la reine, as a little gift from the Queen of England. Because they felt we had no resources to sustain ourselves. That the southern Cameroons was going to be a country dependent on the British taxpayers' purse. Today, that same Britain is signing oil and gas deals with La République du Cameroun because of these resources in southern Cameroons. And so, when oil was discovered in southern Cameroons in 1970, the French said, you must stop this nonsense experiment called federalism. And why? As Hareko explains, because the French knew that we were a people who were already so enlightened. And so we will ask questions when they come to exploit. We will want to know the terms. We want to know what we stand to benefit. We want to know how this will help develop the southern Cameroons. So the French wanted to have dealings on this oil directly with the authorities in Yaoundé. I have no questions to answer from the people of the southern Cameroons. That is why they asked for the constitutional provision in the federal constitution, Article 47 sub A, that said the federal form of the state was inviolate. That's why the French demanded that Ahidjo suspend the nonsense thing and make sure they put an end to that experiment called federalism. Because they wanted to have unchecked, unfettered access to our oil. And of course, they've been having over the years. That's why they carried us into some lousy referendum in 1972 where you had to choose between we and yes. My people, that is what Harriet Ekwe is saying. And again, she highlights one important thing, that the people of the southern Cameroons stay in any union with La République du Cameroun, we already have what is called the power of limitation upon our heads. The power of limitation. Of course, you can see it. From 1961, that we got into this experiment, and especially from 1972, where it became a unitary state, look at what is happening. The southern Cameroonian always knows that they are permanent assistants. You can never aspire to the ultimate position, no. Even when they make you prime minister, they make sure that the post of prime minister is empty. They make sure they place a secretary general who is more powerful than the prime minister. That's what has happened all the time. If they place you at the helm, they make sure there is a counterweight stronger than you. That's what has happened all these years. And she reveals one very important thing. By the time the French wanted to displace Ahidjo, they made another very important constitutional change. Because the constitution said the successor, the person who will manage a transition, if the president of the republic is not there, is the Speaker of the National Assembly. The Speaker of the National Assembly at the time was Solomon Tande Muna. And so to make sure that a southern Cameroonian will not find himself managing the transition, being president even for 1 hour, the French engineered that they changed the constitution to say it is the prime minister who become the constitutional successor of the head of state in case of vacancy or death. That is how Paul Biya was then positioned, because he was prime minister. And you notice again today that when they took away the post of or Speaker of the Assembly from Southern Cameroonians and gave it to the Francophones and gave it to citizens of La République du Cameroun, Kave Yege Jibril, and gave the Prime Minister's office to the slaves, to Southern Cameroonians. What did they do? The Constitution now says, in case of vacancy at the helm, it is the Speaker of the National Assembly, and now it will be the President of the Senate. All of them, citizens of La République du Cameroun. It is not by error. It is simply to make sure that we are placed at a huge distance away from ultimate power in that country. That's what Haredekwe is saying. Because the French have said, a Southern Cameroonian ever as president of that country, never. It will never happen. Why should you stay in a place where you have the power of limitation dangling over your head? And that's why she reminds us that in 1992, at the presidential election in 1992, Mr. Fundi did not just win the presidential election, he won with a crushing majority. But the French, who did not want to hear that a Southern Cameroonian is president of that country, immediately said, do anything you can to overturn the results. And that's what happened. So anyone dreaming to say, let us stay with La République du Cameroun in any form or shape, you are asking us to submit ourselves to the power of limitation for life. This is impossible. Nobody is born with a power of limitation dangling over its head. So we should not place such a curse upon our lives by staying in a union that has shown its total limitations, that has demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt that it is only meant to dehumanize us. My people of the Southern Cameroons, I take the pains to go through all this, bring out this explanation so that we know, so we are informed that that thing called federalism, that thing called confederation, any form of union with La République du Cameroun is anathema. You are accepting from day one that you are going in that you are a second-class citizen, maybe even third class. You are accepting from day one that there's a power of limitation over your head. That's why I have my friend and classmate at Cameroon Tribune. He is deputy managing editor. That's Richard Comet. That's deputy managing editor. He has been deputy managing editor for years now. Anytime the managing editor is going on retirement because he's a francophone, he already knows that the editor-in-chief who is under him, who is subordinate, will climb over him to become managing editor. And that's how it has happened. Bajan Baken, who became managing editor over Cometa Richard, was editor-in-chief under Cometa Richard. This is what happens everywhere. We followed Chandongo recently, say he did not give Southern Cameroonians, top positions at CRTV because he is appointed on basis of merit. Second-class citizens can't merit. No, because you are second class already. Because there's a power of limitation over your head. We must break this power of limitation by going our separate way. By taking back our country. My people, we must not accept to live eternally with the power of limitation dangling over our heads. And they say it themselves. Now, if you are doubting, because they are beginning to vomit the truth because of our resistance. They are beginning to vomit the truth because of our resilience. La République du Cameroun will quarter. My people, we must keep the steam alive. We must keep the flame burning. Now, listen to this other gentleman of the MRC. For the first time, citizens of La République du Cameroun, politicians are beginning to accept that Mr. Biya has unleashed a genocide in Southern Cameroon. Listen, he's the one saying it, not me.
J'ai dit, ce n'est pas le MRC qui le dit. Ce qui se passe dans le nord et le sud-ouest aujourd'hui est un véritable génocide. Il faudrait qu'on ait le courage de le dire. Nous ne pouvons pas laisser nos frères continuer à mourir comme si c'était des petits poulets. C'est quoi ce pays? Quel est ce pays où nos dirigeants n'ont pas d'âme? Quel est ce pays où on prend du plaisir à tuer, à massacrer son propre peuple? Simplement parce qu'on veut à tout prix asseoir un certain pouvoir. Le pouvoir pour faire quoi? Si M. Biya, avec ce pouvoir depuis 40 ans, pouvait au moins améliorer les conditions de vie de Camerounais, on comprendrait. Je discutais encore hier avec un petit frère chez moi que ça. Je suis même prêt aujourd'hui au sacrifice suprême. Il faut dire la vérité aux Camerounais. Ce qui se passe dans le nord-est et le sud-ouest, Là, on n'a plus de réserve. C'est un génocide. Mais il faut le dire. Disons-le pour sauver nos frères.
Mais la question qu'on vous poserait, c'est si vous avez les...
You heard him. I'm not the one saying it. You heard him. Because when we say it, they say we're exaggerating. No. They know what is happening. They are seeing it daily. My people, they refused to talk about it yesterday because they felt that Mr. Paul Biya's scouts and all were going to annihilate us in 2 weeks. Today, oh, the monkey is eating pepper. Today, the hunter is becoming the hunted. Today, they are crying just like we too have been crying. They are mourning like we have been mourning. That is why they are beginning to ask even more serious questions. Yes, a good lot of them now are even asking more serious questions. Listen to this other question.
Pourquoi Franck Biya n'est pas au front? Pourquoi Franck Biya n'est pas au front? Partagez ces messages. Vous avez vu des militaires pleurer. Vous avez vu ces militaires. Ils savent qu'ils vont tomber demain. Ils enterrent leurs frères. Mais ces militaires savent que leurs jours sont comptés. Parce qu'ils vont devoir entrer au front. Elle n'a pas demandé d'être militaire. Elle n'a pas demandé à prendre une arme, à se retourner contre ses frères. Elle n'a pas demandé à être une meurtrière.
Well, my dear sister, I feel your pain. I can understand where you're coming from. Franck Biya ne peut pas être au front. Because Franck Biya is preparing to take over. Franck Biya cannot be at the front. Franck Biya will not, because Franck Biya is being prepared by the French to take over. So hold your peace. Après Biya, ce sera Biya. That's what they are saying. That is what Southern Cameroons cannot tolerate. No, we believe in the principles of a functional democracy. If we wanted the monarchy, come on. We have a lot of fondoms and all whatnot, which are even well organized. We will model it on one of them. No. We don't want a French monarchy on our territory. We didn't have to be there in the first place. Like I said, they are beginning to get up from slumber. They are beginning to ask the right questions. That's why some of them even took to the streets now to say, stop this thing. Do you think it's because they love us too much? No, 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 no. It's because of the pains in their hearts. Just take a look at them. There may not be too many as we saw them on the streets of Douala, but this is just the beginning. Before long, you'll find hundreds of thousands, why not even millions of them in the streets telling Paul Biya, get out of Southern Cameroon. Oh, yes. Did someone tell me that the story of the children of Israel and the Egyptians is about to repeat itself? Because that's exactly what is happening. We are getting to the point where the citizens of the Republic of Cameroon are already saying, the number is still small for now, but it's growing, already saying, these people don't want us, let them go. Union is not by force. Vivre ensemble is not force. They don't want us anymore, let them go. My people of the Southern Cameroons, I say it and I repeat. What will see us through is synergy. What will see us through is synergy. Let us develop that spirit of unity of purpose because we are getting there. By day and by night, our advanced march is towards the objective. Look at what they say here. Live for what tomorrow can bring, not for what yesterday has taken away. Some of us sit here, we spend our time only talking about the problems and mistakes that we made in the past. We're not focusing on the future. The future is ahead of us, it's not behind us. Those who have the future behind them are those so-called elite. And the CPDM in La République du Cameroun claiming they are talking on our behalf. Those are the people with their future behind them. We Southern Cameroonians have our future ahead of us. So let us live for what tomorrow can bring, not for what yesterday has taken away. Let's set aside the mistakes of yesterday. We learn from them and shape a wonderful tomorrow. On this note, I want to again thank all of those who contributed and are still contributing for the Akumaka project. Like I said, I'm not displaying the directives anymore. If you want to contribute, go back to the previous videos and then you will be able to see the directives and you can make your contribution. I want to thank all of those who are chipping in. My people, we will get there. Freedom, here we come. That's what I say. Freedom, here we come. We must continue to intensify the resistance. We must continue to be even more resilient because La République du Cameroun will koto. That is my message to you, my people, that La République du Cameroun will koto. La République du Cameroun will bow. Yes, they will bow. To God be all the glory. Enjoy the rest of your evening and have a very wonderful moment.